When we look at the 12 volt system that the camper's been running up until now, it's been a very cost effective, simple, easy to install, easy to live with system that has done everything that I've asked for it. However, today we're replacing that with a complex, expensive system that has more functions than what I currently need. And you have to ask yourself, am I crazy? Hi guys, my name's Daryl and welcome to the channel. That's right, this week we're replacing the current 12 volt system in the camper. We're not redoing all the wiring, we've got all the control box and the batteries at the front of the camper with the DC system and the like in it, and that's what we're replacing. So the current camper will just hook up to the new system. However, let's run through what we currently have and what we're replacing it with and why we're doing it. This is the current vehicle management system we have in the camper. It's mounted on a fairly basic 12 volt board that I've bought, which was a couple of $100. Now, onto that I've added the brains of the unit, which is a Redarc DC 1225D charger. Now, this charges the battery. Into this, the feeds that come in are solar and your 12 volt from your vehicle. It will prefer solar if it can get more solar power than vehicle power, and it's worked really well. Can't knock it at all. The only downside of this is that if you want to connect up your battery to shore power, which is your home AC power, you then have to get a separate battery charger and connect that straight to the battery. So it's worked really well. I can't fault what we've had. The dilemma comes with this though is that to get data from this, I've been relying on the Bluetooth app for the batteries, and it doesn't tell you that much. It tells you enough that you need to know. It tells you if you're in positive or negative amps and how many amps is charging the batteries, but that's about all it gives you. But it's been really good, and for a 100 amp battery, this is all you need. I wouldn't suggest having anything more. If you get over 200 amps of battery storage, they suggest to upgrade this to the 1240 or 1250 DC module rather than the 1225. And with us jumping up to 300 amps of battery power, this isn't going to cut the mustard anymore. So we're replacing this. So what are we going to replace this current battery management system with that has served us so well? Well, because that will only take up to 200 amps of battery power and we've got 300, I suppose the easiest way would be just to replace the DC controller with Redarc's 1240 or 1250 version, and that would cover the storage capacity that we now have and would make it very simple to upgrade and run. However, I'd really like to experience the higher end of the 12 volt battery systems after having the lower end and seeing how well that works. I can't talk about this stuff without experiencing it, and that's been my first foray into 12 volt management systems. I've been quite impressed with that, but I do get frustrated with it sometimes when I'd like to know what the solar panels are bringing in. I'd like to know exactly what is going out of it. And I also get frustrated with it when I'm running a separate AC battery charger, and I'd really like that to be built into the boards as it is. So we need to go up market a bit, and if I'm buying a 1240 or 1250 DC charger, I'm spending $600 or $700 anyway. So I may as well spend a bit more and get a complete new system that will do all the things that I want and more, and will give us some upgrade paths in the future. We then have to look at what we're going to replace it with, and there's a plethora of brands out there. There's Energive, there's Victron, there's Renergy, there's Redarc, and that's just to name a few, although they are the major players in the industry. But when I look at Energive, Renergy and Victron, and when you look at those brands, you can mix and match the components and pick out sort of something that's suitable for your system and mix and match them together. But then you look at Redarc, and Redarc do a complete system. Their Red Vision system, and the components all talk to each other. They're meant to be with each other. They've got CAN bus connectors, so they do talk to each other, and it's a fairly simple install, and you don't have to buy too many too many more bits to go with the system to install them. And for me, that's kind of appealing, but I can see how you're kind of getting to the analogy of, do I buy a PC or an Apple product, where the Apple product, easy to use, easy to configure, and it just works, or the PC guys that are saying, oh, well, I'd like this bit with that bit because they're better components over the other ones. So for me, the analogy is, well, I am an Apple guy. I like their products because they just work and they let me do the things that I need to do, and I don't need to worry about what's going on in the background, or I don't need to worry about the components that I'm buying to mix and match together. And then you start to look at these components of the various manufacturers and think, where are they made from? Are they meant to be used in an off-road vehicle? And to be frank, wherever they're made, most of these seem to survive okay. I never see too many videos where someone's saying, oh, my, vehicle management system has failed because something's fallen out of the circuit board. Generally, it's a wiring issue someone has, and the crimps failed on the wires or the like. However, when researching all of this, I did look at the Redarc stuff, and there's some videos of their manufacturing plant in South Australia, and they actually make this stuff to be used in off-road campers and caravans and vehicles. They put their stuff into a jig that replicates, vehicles being used in the outback for hours on end, and they put this stuff in the jig and test it until it breaks. And because they do that sort of stuff, they flood the circuit boards so that nothing will wiggle around and break on these dirt roads. It's pretty impressive when you look at it and you think, I'd really like to support a local manufacturer. This stuff does have a good name. If I'm going to invest my money, I think for me, that's where I'm going to invest it. I've ended up with a Redarc Red Vision system. Now, there's three major components with this. There's the Manager 30, and there's a whole heap of videos out with regards to these things. This thing can be run on its own. It's basically a BC-DC charger on steroids. It has solar, 12 volt and AC input. So this will do everything that I ask of it. If you buy this by itself, you get a fairly basic LCD display, and through that you can see most of the information that's happening with regards to this. Now, when you upgrade from the Manager 30 to the Red Vision system, and all of this stuff connects together with CAN bus cables, you get this distribution box with an LCD screen. The LCD screen gives you all the data that's happening with regards to the Manager 30 and your switchable inputs and outputs. There's a whole heap of stuff that this does off the bat, and I guess it does so much, I'll just grab the sheet of paper. It will read up to 2 temperatures, it'll read up to 6 water tanks, it controls the inverter, you can view battery charging, load and condition information, you can switch up to 10 outputs, fuse up to 10 outputs plus a charger circuit, automate output functionality, and it works with a range of Redarc charging systems. Kind of does everything. There's some cheaper versions of these distribution boxes you can buy from like Egon and the like. They work really well, and possibly that would have been suitable for what I've got. However, when you start adding up the cost, it is cheaper, but it's not substantially cheaper to buy those individual components. And by buying the complete Redarc Red Vision system, I've got stuff that I know works together. Now, I'm not going to go through the whys and wherefores of wiring and configuring all this componentry at this point. Today, I need to get these components mounted, and inside the drawbar box, both of these will live on the back wall of the drawbar box. Now, I've got to make a removable panel to mount these on. I want to be able to wire it outside of the vehicle, put it into the camper, and if I have problems later on, take out the removable panel and be able to work on it on a bench outside of the camper. Apart from these two modules, I also have to make a bracket for the LCD display. I'm going to mount that on the gull-wing door, so when we open it up, we can just see the LCD display there. Now, to make these panels, I'm trying to make it as light as I can. So I've got some 6mm waterproof ply, and I've got the composite aluminium sheeting that I've used for the outside of the camper. I've still got some of the metallic grey, and that's what we're going to use on the back wall. We'll cut this to size, and then I'll use some contact adhesive like I have with the outside cladding to glue these together, which will give us approximately 9mm of thickness, which is more than enough to mount a couple of lightweight components on. So let's get that one done. So with that removable bulkhead made that I can mount the two modules on, I now need to make a bracket where I can put the LCD display on the door, and for that I'm going to use some 3mm aluminium. Now I use this for the side plates for the roof rack on the camper, so I've got a whole heap of this left over, and this will be more than enough to mount a lightweight LCD's display on. Unfortunately I don't have a bender at this point of time. It's on my wish list on one of the machinery shops. It's easy enough to bend, although I probably wouldn't go much thicker than this to get a reasonable bend on it. But let's get that done. Now I'm pretty happy with this. It's a solid old mount, it's out of the weather, it's easy to see, and it doesn't foul on anything, so got to be happy with that. I just need to take out that removable bulkhead now to mount the other modules on. In the workings I showed 2 of the mounts, I do have 4, so it's very secure to the back wall. So let's get that out and we'll mount the further 2 modules on that. Now I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out. The only thing I do have to do is get some black bolts to mount these units to the bulkhead at the back. I just didn't have any at hand at the moment. But it all has to come out to be wide anyway. I've checked all of my clearances around it with operations of doors and everything. I've put the AC cord on that side to check clearances because with the gull wing door and the strut, I thought it may get a bit close, but there's plenty of room there. There's not an issue at all. The only thing that would have been nice would have been to put the inverter on the back wall too, but there's just not enough room in the box to mount it on the back wall. So we'll do something else with it. There's a reasonable amount of room, but it's starting to get a little bit tight in here. Remembering we still have to put in the fridge slide and everything like that. But at the end of the day, I think I've got enough room. Once we take off the protective coating on this aluminium, I think it's gonna present quite well. And with that, that's about it for today. I hope you guys are enjoying this. It's been quite an outlay for me with regards to cost. I'm really happy with how it's going though, and I'm doing it because I enjoy this side of it. So yeah, very pleased so far, but let's see how it goes when it's all connected up and wired and is working. And then we'll get onto the fridge slide and everything else in here. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed that, guys, and we'll see you later. Bye now.